Okay, so now I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers draft reaction. I'll look at each pick, give my thoughts, and give it overall grade at the end. So let's get straight into it. Najee Harris was their first pick, running back, Alabama. I like Najee Harris as a player overall. I was just not a fan of the pick at this point in the draft, especially pick 24 with the players that were available. You could improve your offensive line or cornerback position straight away. There was players like Greg Newsome available, Tevin Jenkins, Christian Darrisaw, I think, just went. But even Samuel Cosme or something, Dylan Radunes, any of those tackles would have been better picks than taking a running back. Because if you want the running back game to work, if you want to run the ball, you need to have an O line. I'm pretty sure James Conner and Benny Snell could be pretty good if their O line was competent and not injured all the time and all that stuff. Although I do think Najee Harris is a better player than those two, and he will add another element to this offense because he is a good runner. But I'm just going to say he's not going to have an amazing year because he won't have the right offensive line that will block for him well. So, didn't really like it. Also, wasn't really a big fan of this pick, Pat Freiermuth. With all the holes on your roster, I don't know why you'd go for Pat Freiermuth. You got Eric Ebron. Your tight end position's fine. I know you could get another player, but it's a tight end position, not very valuable position either. In Pat Freiermuth, he's the second best tight end in a weak tight end class. Besides Kyle Pitts, he's on another level. And it's not like he's a complete prospect either, Freiermuth. He wasn't that amazing. He just showed a lot of good plays that people liked. He's a decent blocker. I just don't think it was the best pick they could have taken to improve their team because they want to be a Super Bowl contender. But Pat Freiermuth and Najee Harris, I don't know how much they really elevate your team and really help it out. And then they addressed the O-line in the third round. I think it's a good pick. Kendrick Green, as a player overall, I think it's a really good pick. And at this range, I think it's also good because he has guard and center flexibility. He'll probably replace Pouncey at center. That's what I think he'd do. And he's a pretty good center. Some people had him really high up. They had him at 13th. And pretty athletic dude, also pretty quick. And a kind of good scheme fit also. Just a decent player, good center. Not the best center you could have taken, but probably that after the top two, he's probably around that range. I think you got a good player in Kendrick Green, and you kind of needed a improvement at center. And they went for Dan Moore. It's all right. I don't know if he'll start straight away. Probably won't. You're kind of just banking on upside, really, just hoping he can be something because he might be able to turn into something. He just didn't really show much progression at Texas A&M. He kind of just stayed the same player, just didn't get better, didn't get worse, which shows consistency, but it wasn't impressive. And with the fourth round picking Dan Moore, maybe even a bit of a reach, to be honest. There were some good players available, and I think they could have probably gone for a different position, especially with if you're going to pick Dan Moore at tackle, then you might have well gone for somebody on defense or just a better valuable player. So I didn't really like it. And then Buddy Johnson, linebacker, another Texas A&M player. It's actually a decent pick. He'll be a really good special teamer straight away. I mean, at linebacker, they kind of only got Devin Bush. I mean, it's kind of a bit iffy all around who's behind him. There'll probably be a linebacker battle for whoever gets that number 2 position. And Buddy Johnson, I think, a battle for it, but even if he doesn't win, he'll probably make the roster and be a really good special teamer straight away because he's pretty athletic and decent player. But then they pick Isaiah Loudermilk in the fifth round. What are you doing? He's not a good player, to be honest. He does fit a 3-4, but he just wasn't a really impressive player. Just didn't get a lot of sacks. Didn't really get a lot of pressure. Just a good run defender. That's it. Not good pass rusher. In 5th round for Loudermilk, I thought he was definitely going to go undrafted. I was very surprised him being here. Especially there's so much better players even on the defensive line you could have took. I said weak defensive line class, so taking Loudermilk, it just kind of devalues the pick even more just because they weren't really good players. So I didn't like it. I did like this pick though, Quincy Roche. Yeah, he was very hyped up the year before, the year he transferred to Miami. He just didn't do that much last year for Miami. He was behind some good players there, and he did show some flashes. He was really good at the Senior Bowl. he is a good scheme fit. That's why I like the pick. And his athleticism, I think, could come in handy. And him and what's that player, Highsmith, they can maybe compete. I think Quincy Roche could take the starter position. Probably won't because Highsmith is actually a pretty decent player. But I think as a good rotational player, you lost Bud Dupree, so you can kind of just replace that backup position that Highsmith did have last year. And if injuries happen on that defensive line, you got a good backup, I think, for a long time. I think he can be a starter for quite a decent amount of time. And the seventh round, they went for Trey Norwood. Yeah, it's all right. Trey Norwood, why not? Just be a special teamer, more depth for the cornerback position. They kind of need corners. I would prefer it if they got a player high up because he's not really going to be a starter for you. I don't think he can be. He's just not that amazing of a player. Maybe they find something in here. Him maybe becomes a steal, but I don't think he'll be a starter. So addressing the corner in the seventh round, probably not going to improve your team. Just going to be depth player. And then they went for Presley Harvey, the big ass punter from Georgia Tech. He's 260 pounds. Like, he is a really good punter. So that's just funny. I just like it because of that. Presley Harvey. He's pretty cool punter, man. Yeah, so the Steelers draft kind of just underwhelming. Like, they did address needs, but then they also didn't at the same time. Like, with the players they could have got at some places in this draft, their draft could have looked so much better. So I didn't really like it that much. So overall, probably a B minus. Just not good. There was a few picks I like Quincy Roche I like. Kendrick Green I like. Buddy Johnson's not a bad pick. I mean, Trey Norwood, 7th. It's not bad. Punter, I mean, you probably shouldn't draft a punter, but it's fine. You kind of just want to get your player, I guess. So B minus, kind of just underwhelming for the Steelers. I don't know how good of a team they'll be next year, especially Big Ben. I think he'll probably take a step down from last year. That's just happening. So I didn't really like the draft, so B minus. That's it. So see ya.